anybody, any third party, determine whether or not you can do this and you can do that.
It's an honor to meet you once again.
Thank you.
Still not there yet. And I feel like he's a big part in us coming together.
I just thought it would be a great way to teach our kids some functional skills. And then it kind of developed into this beautiful way to give to two very different groups of people. People so used to being on the receiving end of help are now able to be the helpers. All right, and now we need to find some pairs.
I'm going to plant this whole clump into one hole. It's important for them to develop an appreciation for something outside of their homes and outside of their devices. Find a flower, lock your eye on it, lift the binoculars up, and then turn the focus wheel. Does that work?
Students have the opportunity to come outside in the real world and learn about conservation and environmental ethics, as well as scientific principles of ecosystems and ecology, and even energy flow through the ecosystem.
Hello and welcome. I'm Sean Spiller, the host of Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. We begin this week with a list: respect, fairness, generosity, just a few of the ethical values parents hope to instill in their children. And when they send their kids to school, they're expecting those values to be supported by educators. On this episode, we'll highlight some of the projects that give students opportunities to explore why those values are important and what young people can do to promote them as they themselves grow to adulthood. On our first stop, an iconic figure who's been a pillar in the civil rights struggle, helping to shape America.
Dr. Jones, thank you for all that you've done for our nation and its citizens. Today is your day, and we are honored to have you here, and thank you for being such a positive role model for our students in this country.
On a warm day in June, instead of thinking about summer vacation, students at Palmyra High School couldn't have been more excited. This was the day they would gather to honor Dr. Clarence B Jones, Palmyra High School class of 1949, for his achievements in civil rights history.
Think about it. Yes, when I was 29 years old and Martin Luther King Jr. was 31, I met him, and for 7.5 years, thereafter I would end up being his personal lawyer, draft speechwriter, and political advisor. But had I not had a foundation of self-confidence and education, I would not have been capable of responding to that opportunity. I would have not had the skill sets.
After graduation, he earned a law degree and dedicated his expertise to Dr. King and the civil rights movement. In 1963, Dr. Jones helped organize the historic March on Washington and co-authored the I Have a Dream speech with Dr. King.
It's beyond our wildest dreams that he was able to make it here today and give such an incredible presentation and lifelong lesson, hopefully, for our students to always set high goals and believe in themselves and always try to look forward rather than looking back.
To paraphrase those extraordinary words from my brother when he's speaking about in the future, I have a dream, he says, that my 4 children, you notice he's speaking, Martin Luther King Jr., he's speaking in the future tense, that they will be judged by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin.
It's an honor to meet you once again.
Thank you. God bless you.
We're still not there yet, and I feel like he's a big part in us coming together.
I was on the track team with you.
Just the fact that he came from a place like this, small, everybody knows everybody, and he got that great education here. I feel like it's just amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are continuing to work on our project to honor Palmyra's most famous alum. It was an idea that I had in January. Lots of communication between the teaching staff, my students, the Board of Education. So it's been a massive undertaking, but it's so worth it. Student buy-in has really led this whole project to go above and beyond anything I could have possibly imagined.
So I helped set up the budget for Clarence B Jones visiting today. So along with a team of other students, we came up with a hotel, airline, food service for the catering tonight.
I helped compose what will be revealed later on today down by the library.
In recognition of Dr. Jones and his legacy, Palmyra High School arranged for a unique tribute, and Classroom Close-Up was honored to be there.
I knew the importance of it, and I was very excited to do it.
Jacob's painting was unveiled in front of the newly renamed library, which will also include the Dr. Clarence B Jones Institute for Social Advocacy.
I guess that kind of almost reflects what Dr. Clarence B Jones said, just learn to work together and just coexist as one.
Yes, I'm a realist, you're a realist. There are real problems you will face. But I'm suggesting to you that you develop an inner gyroscope and a compass. How you treat other people is a reflection of what you think about yourself.
For a small town, I think it's really important that their most important graduate, who's gone on to do tremendous things, is here today for the community to see, to touch, and to listen to his experiences and how Palmyra High School shaped his future in becoming a civil rights icon.
I want you to say that Dr. Clarence B. Jones came back to Palmyra High School to publicly acknowledge and thank with gratitude from the bottom of his heart. The generosity, the teachers, the principal that made it possible.
Mr. Licata being able to bring Clarence B. Jones back for us kind of added another aspect to the civil rights movement that we've learned about in other classes, but this one made it even more special to be able to meet someone who was so important to it.
I thought that, it was good to commemorate someone that really made a name for themselves. They came out of a small town, it's no bigger than a mile by 2 miles, and the rest is history.
One of the goals of teaching the civil rights movement of the 1960s is to help today's students engage in critical analysis of United States history and to consider solutions that lead to social justice and a brighter future. It's a mission shared by the elementary students we're about to meet, children who are putting their best foot forward.
Justin, you're gonna come sit on the blue dot. And Lana, you're gonna sit on the green dot. I find that a lot of times people lower their expectations for kids with special needs. Do you remember this story, Those Shoes? I have high reasonable expectations for my students. I look at Antonio's shoes. One of them is taped up and his feet I give those expectations in a supportive way. What's wrong with Antonio's shoes? If they're falling apart. Yeah, they're falling apart. Absolutely. I just want the world to see what I see when I look at them. We're gonna do an activity about things that you need and things that you want, like fancy black shoes. We introduced this whole concept to the students by reading them a story called Those Shoes that does a really concrete job of explaining the difference between needs and wants. I have 4 children, and my husband and I are fortunate enough to be able to give them shoes whenever they need them. But that leaves us with shoes with a lot of life left in them. So an internet search led me to Soles for Souls. New and like new shoes are given to people who don't have shoes. And when I was looking up the information about donating our shoes, I noticed that the information they needed were all really functional skills that the students in my class could handle. Counting, bagging, bundling, sorting. So that's where it all started. What are we collecting, Aslan? Shoes. That's right. Good job, G. Wait for us, babe. When you get the cart, you're going to push it down to our Soles for Souls shoebox. To get our shoes out. Our shoe drive was 3 weeks long, and at the end of every week, each student took turns going into every classroom in the building. Say good morning. It really gave them an opportunity to practice their communication skills, and it also gave a chance for the students in the regular education classrooms to see that our kids can make a difference and that they're working really hard to make that difference, and maybe even a little bit harder than the rest of our population. We have lots of shoes in lots of bags. What do we need to do, Gianna?
Tie the floor.
We need to put the tie shoes on the floor.
We give shoes to people and we look for old shoes where it don't fit anymore because we help people.
What comes after 30? 31. All right, 30. Originally, I just thought it would be a great way to teach our kids some functional skills and to make a really tangible lesson on a global issue that we face. And then it kind of developed into this beautiful way to give to two very different groups of people. People who want for basic needs that we take for granted, and people who are so used to being on the receiving end of help are now able to be the helpers and to give back to the community that supports them all the time. All right, and now we need to find some pairs. Gianna has a pair. Her shoes match. Remember, once you have your...
I work with the children on a variety of goals and objectives throughout the year, mainly fine motor and gross motor. Obviously, they're using fine motor when they're banding the shoes together, but they're also using gross motor when they're wheeling the cart down the hallway and navigating through the obstacles in the hallway. And they've made such great gains with them just in this little glimpse of time.
So we need to figure out how much it's going to cost to buy our trash bags to put the shoes in and to buy the rubber bands to bundle the shoes. So
the expectation for these guys was raised really, really high. They reached for it, they achieved it, and they've gone beyond it. And Souls for Souls has allowed us to push them really out of their comfort zone and really far, and they've responded tenfold.
Oh, no, thank you. You have to do it. I feel that I've definitely taken a backseat in letting the children shine and knowing that you almost have to allow them to do it for themselves. The children are proud of themselves. Seeing them smile and knowing that they accomplished such a big feat is amazing.
10, 11, 12.
They were able to collect these shoes and donate to a great cause, but they were also able to participate in a project that gave them the opportunity to learn some new skills.
And tell me how much those trash bags cost. Justin?
For trash bags is $20.
That's right, and I think there are the obvious skills that they have developed through this project. There are functional math and reading, workplace readiness skills that they've developed, which is what I originally had hoped for this project, but they've developed communication skills, they've developed social skills, they've developed a global awareness that I would not have been able to teach them in any other way. All right, ready, set, slide. Our building resource officer reached out to the Voorhees Police Department, and they have graciously offered to transport all 1,200 pairs of shoes out to the collection facility in Pennsylvania. So we were able to collect even more than we had originally anticipated.
By seeing the number of shoes that we've collected, they now realize how far it's going, and they're just beyond surprised and amazed at what they've accomplished.
And just knowing that they've been able to help someone else aside from themselves has really, really made them smile.
I was 18 years old when I decided to go into special education, and when you're young and starting out, you have all these hopes and dreams, and over time, sometimes those ideas get dampened, but seeing what these kids can do and how much they're capable of, it just reminds me of why I started this in the first place. And I just see life, and I see happiness, and I see effort. And I see people just wanting to help other people, regardless of their own struggles.
We did it!
When we come back, we'll head back to Voorhees and see what happens when you bring nature to kids. Stay tuned.
The honeybee is New Jersey's insect. What are they making with the nectar?
Honey.
Honey, right. Today, our lesson was on beekeeping.
Getting ready for winter.
Let's walk this way. I've always felt that students had a hunger for the outdoors and really needed to be outside.
So Tony Clark found a way to satisfy that hunger. With the help from Craig McGee, he created the Kresson School Meadow, an outdoor classroom designed to bring his students closer to nature.
We planted this meadow 4 years ago with a small grant that we got from the New Jersey DEP to show how we can convert schoolyards and other open spaces into native habitats.
Craig McGee is the director of the Camden County Soil Conservation District, and he was able to acquire funds for us to install a native grassland meadow on the school grounds.
The kids are learning an awful lot out here. They're learning about native plants, they're learning about the habitat it creates. I think they're learning about the species that they will find in a habitat like this.
See the roots? Not much roots, but this plant's pretty aggressive, so it will grow. And actually, I'm going to plant this whole clump into one hole. It's important for them to develop an appreciation for something outside of their homes and outside of their devices. I'll try to see if I can point them out.
The only device these students look at, or should I say look through, are binoculars.
Find a flower, lock your eye on it, lift the binoculars up.
One of the many items purchased with funding from a HIP grant.
The HIP grant allowed me to get the set of binoculars, which was really important to me. This is called a squirrel-proof bird feeder. It allowed me to buy feeding stations. Do you see the seats now?
Now I know.
So what happens when the squirrel lands on this little perch? It closes so the squirrel can't get the food. And buy plants.
So fourth graders, why don't you find your buddies, okay? Go ahead.
First graders, look for your buddies. Our class buddied up with the fourth grade nature buddies, and the children got to plant some plants into the meadow that will help further expand our meadow and help bring other animals and wildlife to our school.
We set the ground rules and the parameters. This is an outdoor classroom. There's still expectations, but of course it's more freedom and, you know, they're looking around and I'm looking around too, but that's really what you're supposed to be doing within the parameters of, you know, it's an outdoor classroom.
Mrs. Zelensky gathers information from the outdoor classroom and brings it back to her indoor classroom.
Who remembers the name of this one? I think T-Rex. You identify the species of trees, the leaves. It's the dinosaur print. Good. We did the leaf rubbings. It's so much more than that, though. They had to research the trees and, you know, take that information and create a book from it.
This is my leaf book. We have different kinds of native trees.
It's science and it's math and it's language, so it's really not that difficult to incorporate in your classroom. We also created the digital animal book together where the fourth graders and first graders researched the animals together.
They created the information about each animal and drew the picture of the animal, and then we had the QR code added on by Mr. Clock where the children actually spoke what it said.
Books and research are great ways to learn about animals and their environment, but there's nothing like experiencing it firsthand.
We're going to be doing an activity that's a simulation of what a bird might go through in migrating from the tropics. The kids were doing different types of things to try to simulate what it would be like, for example, if a bird hit bad weather or if a bird was in an oil spill.
It said that we're in a polluted marsh in the Hackensack Meadowlands and we're becoming sick, so we have to groan and put our hands above our stomach for 30 times.
Some of the birds don't make it, and it's one of those things that really demonstrates to the kids it's important to know that, you know, there's not always a happy ending.
I got hit by a hurricane and eaten by an eagle.
How about you?
We died.
These activities and the outdoor classroom go way beyond Kresson School. The students take what they learn and share it over the internet via podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kresson Nature Cast.
I told them, I want you to have a conversation. I want it to be free form. I want it to be kind of open-ended.
Which animal is your favorite to talk about? The eastern cottontail. Chipmunk.
This meadow has enhanced the students' learning in so many ways, and at the same time, enhanced the environment for wildlife by creating a biodiversity habitat, an achievement that was recognized by the New Jersey Audubon Eco Schools.
Your school, through the work you've done this year, earned our Bronze Award by increasing your biodiversity, and you also earned our Silver Award
EcoSchools was created as a way for teachers to do experiential learning with the students, where it's student-led programming. You created a habitat, and have you drawn some birds here? They also learned about biodiversity. Who can tell me about some of the birds? Yep.
I've seen mockingbirds.
They identified 28 different birds.
They tend to fly over us. Why do you think they like to fly over us? I hope my students remember that they are part of this world and that they need to act like that. They need to behave as if they're actually part of the world, not separate from it. Oh, I hear a cardinal singing way off in the distance.
20 years ago, this area that we are sitting in right now was nothing but field. It was like a soccer field on a hill. But in that time, since then, since 1997, we have managed to create an amazing wildlife habitat and an outdoor classroom for our students and our community.
We are taking pictures of the forms of energy that we learned about. Right now I'm taking a picture of thermal energy, so a way that you can tell is thermal energy is by the sun beaming down on the leaves and the leaves are growing.
Our 6th grade students have Adopt-A-Spot locations that they chose in September, and they visit this location throughout the school year to see the changes from September through June. It's wonderful. We're able to make curricular connections throughout all of our units, and I think it's 100% engaging for them when we're out here.
So out of the 4 books that you read this school year so far, which one would have been your favorite?
This one. It's better than just being in the classroom because it's more fun and more interactive. Yeah.
I like The Breeze.
Yeah.
So this had to be here before. I mean, you guys didn't create this
No,
part of it,
we
did you?
did. In 1999, the students wanted a pond. And I went to our superintendent and said, we want to build a pond in our outdoor classroom. So we negotiated, we ended up with this freshwater marsh. We have tried to create habitats that are native to New Jersey and particularly to central New Jersey. So what we are sitting in right now is a mixed oak forest, which is native to our area of New Jersey. We also have an evergreen glade, we have gardens, butterfly gardens, and wildflower meadows.
It's a lot of work. We're the butterfly garden. We're going to be weeding today. We are the Little Patrol and we are going around the campus and picking up all of the trash that might harm the environment.
We're painting them and then we're going to label them with different areas of the backyard and we're going to put them out there so people know where to go.
We created this wildlife habitat through a lot of hard work on the part of parents, students, staff members, and what we call our backyard work days. We have about 4 backyard work days a year, 2 in the spring, 2 in the fall, and at each work day we concentrate on a specific area of our habitat. And of course, without money, none of this would happen, and that of course is thanks to NJEA's Frederick L. Hip Grant Awards that we've received over the years. Today, we are celebrating our 20th anniversary of Hillsides, Meadows, and Trails with first a backyard work day.
I came back to help with the backyard work day because I really enjoy working with the backyard, and when I was here in 6th grade, it played a really big impact in my life.
I think it helped me respect the environment a lot more. For me, leadership skills was a huge value I learned here, because during the work days, some of the students would also help run the groups.
The most memorable part of Hillside School for me was the Roots and Shoots program and the backyard work days. Just coming out once a month and getting involved with the ecology of our school was very important, and I learned a lot from it, made some great friends, and I'm still friends with a lot of the teachers who were involved.
What I appreciate the most is the connection between the kids, the families, the community, the staff. Everybody jumps in and says, what can we do? No matter what the task list is there, we say, where do you want me?
I look back and I remember what it was like in the first couple of years. There was, a couple of trees, there was the butterfly garden, and now you have all these different habitats. So I hope we have another 20 years.
I remember going out to a backyard work day every day with a smile on my face, and everyone collaborated on everything and did a lot of cool stuff.
The sense of community that it brings to Hillside is unbelievable. I think the fact that teachers are so willing to take their students out there to the outdoor classroom is something that these kids remember. They get so much out of it.
I believe that place-based learning or outdoor education is more important today than ever. Students are so tied to their electronic devices that they have very few experiences to really develop a love and understanding for nature. And if they don't have that love and understanding, how are we ever going to expect them to protect it?
On one of our previous visits to Hillside Intermediate, Katrina Mock talked about how caring for our world is woven through the school curriculum, an approach to education that has had a positive effect on generations of students. It's a way to introduce awareness of issues and concerns that affect us all, an opportunity to inspire empathy, understanding, and tolerance, to honor milestones in our history, and to share optimism for a better world. So that's all for this week. We hope you enjoyed watching. To see this episode again or to search our video library, go to classroomcloseup.org. And join us next time for more inspiring stories from our public schools. For Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Sean Spiller. See you soon.